And hello there, folks. Welcome back to Chill Flex News. And, I've been meaning to come on here and talk to you guys about everything that's going on. You know, news wise, I guess, or other news. But we're going to talk about this Idaho 4 case. Again, we talked about it last video. And we're going to talk about it here a little bit more. Because, it's a mysterious case. We all know this is a strange case. Strange circumstances surrounding it all. And there's just so much to say about this case. Now, before we get into my topic about it, which is that I do not believe this Idaho 4 criminal, whoever did this unalivings, I don't believe it can ever be solved. And I'm going to talk about that in a moment. But first, it's been in the news recently that this house is going to get torn down. The actual crime scene where the college students were unalived, which is a terrible mistake. Should not be torn down. They need that house. I think more for the prosecution than the defense, but who knows? Maybe it would help the defense. But whoever, they need the house. They need that jury to go through there and walk through that house and think, is it possible that Koberger did this by himself? Because it just doesn't, the atmosphere, you feel, I know they've got 3D images, they've taken every camera shot, they could redo the whole thing virtually. We get it. But there's nothing about being there in person. You get to see the ambience. You get to go down to the roommates' rooms and maybe hear somebody up above shouting, and you can see what it sounded like. Or they play some kind of noise, some music or something. You could hear what it sounded like in the roommate's room downstairs, in both Bethany's or Dylan's room. Actually, Dylan was on the second floor, I think. But you could have Dylan's room. You could be in her room, and you could hear what it sounded like outside. And then you could go down to roommate number 2 and do the same thing. That's why you need that house. Should not tear that house down. Another story that's being brought about the Idaho 4 is the trial will not be done until summer of 2024. That's when the trial's going to start? Summer of 2024? What? Why in the world so long from now? That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That's too far away. I heard that it was going to begin February 2024, but now I'm hearing the summertime. The prosecution wants it in the summer. Why would the prosecution want this trial to be delayed longer? If anything, you'd want it to be January or February. But no, we want to push to the summer. I don't understand why you want to push to the summer. If you got all the evidence, if you have all this evidence, this DNA in his car or in his apartment or whatever, something damning, something that definitely is going to convict him, it's 100%, you don't need to put the trial off any longer than you have to. You do the darn thing in January 7th. or 8th, when everybody's coming back from their vacation, from the holidays, whatever. You already begin then. Let's say January 10th. Oh no, we're not having it until the summer of 2024. Oh, okay. I mean, well, it's like you're delaying something. It's like you don't have something. You don't have an evidence, a piece of evidence, or maybe you're trying to fabricate one, but you need a few more months to do that. Enough could be on, enough could be said. Now, I want to go on to my topic here today. I could go talk more about those things, but well, first of all, okay, I think my what was my main topic? Oh, yeah. I don't think Idaho 4 will ever be solved. I don't think it will ever be solved. It doesn't matter who did it. This case, since the beginning, has had so many mysterious things. Hey, you know what? Even if they did prove it was Koberger who did these unalivings, maybe we could say, okay, we got our man, and we see it was him. But what about all the mysteries around this case? What about all the strange mysteries? What about the roommates not calling the 911 for 8 hours? Why? Or calling anybody? Calling no one for 8 hours. You hear these crimes taking place. So anyway, let's go back to why I don't think this case will ever be solved. Okay, there's just so many talking points to Idaho 4, Idaho unalivings. There's just so many talking points. You can go on and on. But here's why I would think it will never be solved. Because when you think about it, there is just too many people that could have done this. There's really too many people that could be suspects, and including the roommates, including those roommates number 1, roommates number 2. I ain't gonna say their name, okay? I just ain't gonna. I don't know how that legal stuff works, though. But, you know, I had a theory that I think it might have been roommate A or B, who did this unalivings. Yeah, I did. You know, it's probably a topic for another time, but another video, but that's the problem. You can't just say it was Koberger, right? You just can't. I mean, maybe the evidence might point to him, but what little evidence they seem to have. All right, but okay, maybe he did it, but there's other people who could have done this crime. You have so many suspects mentioned. You have the fraternity. And I'm not accusing anyone. I would never do it. Okay. This video is not accusing anyone. It's just theorizing. It's just speculation. Okay. Like I said, the roommates, I think, could have done this crime. I think could have done it. It's a whole speculative theory I thought of. And I also know how Koberger would have been involved if the roommates had done this. I know how Koberger could have been involved in a lot of scenarios. Why they have his DNA on that sheet. But anyway, and I watch all the TC channels. I watch them all. I see everyone talking about them. That's right. I watch their theories. I watch them talking about it. That's how I kind of come up with my theories. Watching those TC channels. So anyway, I believe that And you also have the neighbors. You have like two suspicious neighbors involved in this. And one YouTuber, TC YouTuber, was talking about this the other day. I'm talking about true crime. If you don't know what TC means, true crime. I'm talking about. Well, anyway, there was one of them the other day talking about how he was in Idaho behind the house. He filmed at an apartment complex, and lo and behold, that apartment complex, there is an apartment complex right behind this house, which, you know what, I didn't really ever realize that much until he showed it. And it's like you could throw a rock and hit that apartment complex. Anyway, his theory was that somebody lived behind this house who was beaten down by these neighbors who would come home every night, late night, to a lonely apartment, and and then he would hear them playing the music, having fun, partying every night. And this lonely man was beaten down by it and finally snapped and went over there one night, the deep night, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and did them all in. I don't know. I mean, it seems so simple, right? And that's probably what this Idaho explanation is. It was probably something so simple like that. But we have spun it around into 100 different theories, 100, 200 different suspects. Which is this? This is not the neighbor I'm talking about. He called it like the incel neighbor or something like that. I was talking about when this case happened. There was 2 other neighbors. We know one of them, the guy with the, he's kind of a strange character. He spins the fire, whatever. And then the other guy, there's another guy. There was another neighbor. Yeah, I think a lot of people forgot this guy. I don't remember his name, but there was another neighbor who was kind of suspicious too. When this case happened, I forgot his name. But we could probably look in the past timeline and find out who that guy was. But he was under this limelight for a little bit. It could have been him. Who knows? It might have been. He came one night, maybe it was another angry neighbor, and did it. Or some other neighbor who was tired of their music every night, every weekend. There was a lot of calls complaining about their music. We saw the body cam with the police going there and telling them to turn down the music. You're getting a citation. I'd rather you be spending the money on beer. Why would you want to spend more money on beer anyway? I mean, they're just going to get more drunk and turning up the music. However, I mean, it could be something that simple, right? But then you hear all the tangents about this house. The president used to live in this house when he was a kid, the president of Idaho University. This case has too many weird aspects to it. Also, of course, we can't forget Kopaka. He was involved somehow. There's just a lot of weirdness to this whole thing. Like I said, maybe it was Koberger. Maybe it was just him. He was, had the motive. He was jealous of them or something. And he went over that night and did them in. And it's very possible that's what happened. Very simple explanation. I have a hard time believing it, though, that it was just him. I know he came back to the crime scene. I said in the last video, he came back at 9 a.m. the next morning, or actually the same morning, 6 hours later. But then I heard Brett Payne, that officer, when he arrived, I guess around noon or a little after that day when they called the police, then they called 911. They got there pretty quick, I think. But I believe it was Brett Payne who came in there maybe he was the first one on scene. And when he went in, he said there was blood all over the place. Can we say that word blood on YouTube? Oh, I forgot if that's another tough word or something. That might be. Okay, I'll call it. I'll call what else can we call that word? So I guess they call it red stuff. All right, okay, we'll call it red stuff. When Brett Payne went into the house, he saw red stuff everywhere. Everywhere. It was all over. That's what he said. On the floors, on the walls, seeping down. It was coming out of the floorboards on you can see in the picture, the first floor. How could there be so much of that red stuff all over the place and be done by just one person? And not getting it on you. You are going to get it. Whoever was the unaliver that night, if there was one or two people, it doesn't matter. You're going to get that stuff on you. You're going to get a lot of red stuff on you. You must have had something. You must have been really thinking this out. How am I going to change my clothes or whatever and make sure when I leave this house this night, there's no blood, there's no red stuff on the ground. So if it was a neighbor, they had to make sure that that red stuff wasn't, falling in the grass or whatever, or, or dripping on the road. It's just doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, it's possible. And then there's the drug theories that it was Emma Bailey and her boyfriend doing it. I mean, come on, there's like 100 suspects. Right there, just the number of suspects is the reason. If I was on the jury, I'd say, I'm sorry, I can't convict this guy. When you got 100 other people that could have done this crime. Right there. That's enough reason to dismiss this trial already. I mean, this indictment. So, like I said, there's a lot to say about this case, and we're going to keep following it because more mysterious things are about to happen, and they're about to tear the house down. I know that. I guess they're going to be able to do that, which is a huge mistake. Gosh darn. At least let the first trial happen, then tear it down. Forget about the appeals and all that. Just the first trial needs to be done. And then you tear that thing down. Just insanity. Just insanity. You're tearing that house down. That is a foolish thing. But you know what? They might as well. We don't know what they've done to the inside of the place. They might have torn down all the walls anyway, and the floors and everything. There may be no reason to keep that house up anyway. We don't know what it looks like inside there. You know what, folks? I think that's all I'm going to say today about the Idaho Fort case. But we will continue to monitor it, of course. And if there's any other stuff to comment on it, we are going to be saying more things about it because there's so many suspects that could have done this thing. And I'd get into it all, but you know what? There's too many suspects. I can't even think of them all. That's how many there is. So, there's too many mysteries too around the whole thing that it makes no sense to me it just, in my opinion, it makes no sense at all that Koberger is being held still in as a suspect. It really doesn't. I don't think he should be. In the beginning, like last December or January, whenever they arrested him, okay, yeah, I thought, all right, yeah, this is, yeah, definitely. But as this time has gone on, I cannot be certain that this is the guy that did this. Okay, maybe they have some evidence they're not letting out, but why? Okay, why though? If you've got more evidence that's reassuring that is going to put him away, why are you hiding that for? What is the reason? I don't understand that. Why do you need to hide evidence? But as far as I know, they can't hide it. I think they have to let it all out. What they've got. Before I think they did that a couple months ago. Well, then he should not be in the prison. He shouldn't be even being charged now is silly. Well, that's my take today, everyone, on the Idaho 4 situation. We do have more to say, and we will say it over the time. But stand by, folks. I'll be putting some more news up the next few days. Yeah. About some things, and I don't know what that will be yet, but I'm sure we'll have something for everyone a couple of days from now. So, all right, everybody, you take it easy, and we'll holler at you on Chill Flex News.